You know what? I'm reminded of Ananias and Sapphira. Remember when the disciples and Peter told them to go sell everything? This is an Acts. He told them to go sell everything and bring back the residuals, bring back the money, the monies, all of it. Bring back all of it. You got to know that Ananias and Sapphira thought, well, man, it's all mine. I don't have to give it all back. I can give most of it back. I can give most of it back. But the directions was give it all back. Sell everything and bring it back to us. And they didn't do it. And on top of that, they even lied about it. Hear me? Just do what you're told to do. We have to practice this thing. In Philippians 4, 8, and 9. And this is where Paul says, whatever you learned or received or heard from me or seen me do, put it into practice. We have to practice just doing what we're told. Even us as adults, we get on our kids all the time. I did not tell you to do this. But yet, we, even as adults, are not doing what we're supposed to do. But I don't even necessarily understand, probably don't even understand the ramifications for us not doing what we were told to do. The very answer to the prayers that we've been praying about all our lives is in the instructions of what we're told to do. Could it be that your prayers are not answered because you're hard-headed? Could it be? Could it be? Let's talk about it. Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great day on this day. I want to talk about Luke 22 today. We're going to be in Luke 22, verses 7 through 13. God is amazing. Whether you know it or not, or whether you understand it or not, he has things planned for you that are for your good and not your bad. But sometimes it looks like it's your bad. I'm here to tell you that from my own personal experience, and I'm living it today. It's fresh on my mind because I'm living it as we speak. At the heels of every one of my what appeared to be failures was my come up, was my advancements, was my promotions. In that darkest day, it is very darkest. What comes is the light. Let's go to Luke. We're going to start with Luke 22, verse 7. Then came the day of unleavened bread on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. Jesus sent Peter and John saying, go and make preparations for us to eat the Passover. Where do you want us to prepare for it? They asked. He replied, as you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters. Follow the man that has the water. And say to the owner of the house, the teacher asks, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples? He will show you a large room upstairs, all furnished. Make preparations there. They left and found things just as Jesus has told them, so they prepared for the Passover. Father, I thank you for the reading of your word. Guys, God is doing something. God is doing something. And whatever he tells you to do, do it. Don't try to figure out. Don't try to make it make sense. Don't try to understand it. Because that's where you will paralyze yourself and you will miss an opportunity. We're talking about the Passover here, and here we have Jesus and the disciples. Peter and those guys was asking Jesus, where were they going to have the Passover? Where were the provisions? And Jesus gave them a very distinct thing to do, even though it was unorthodox. He told them to go follow the man that was carrying the water. I need you to understand that in order for that to have occurred, in order for that to occur, the disciples had to do what they were told when they were told to do it, or they would have missed the assignment, or they would have missed the interaction or the intersection where they were going to see the man carrying the water. If they would have done it after they investigated it and tried to figure it out, the man that was carrying the water, who had a specific time, in time that Jesus had set for him to go get the water for whoever he was getting it for and take it back to the house that they were telling him to go to, there was a specific time for that. And here we have Jesus telling them, go and do this. It's no different than when Jesus told Peter, when the Pharisees were asking and trying to corner Jesus and the disciples about their taxes, why did not take pay? Jesus told them to go cast out a line in the water. The first fish you catch, take the hook out and pull out the coin and go pay my taxes and yours. That was a specific order. That was a specific order that he was told to do to handle the issue. The provisions are already made. God is doing something, whether you understand it or not. This whole Passover conversation, if we go back into Exodus, this is when the last plagues that God was working through Pharaoh. And during this time, the Passover began, as some of us know. It started with Jesus saying, or God saying, hey, telling the Israelites, and it told Moses to tell the Israelites to go prepare a meal, find a lamb without defect, a lamb. Here we go with archetypes. We're talking about a lamb of God, but in this case, I want you to look at the lamb being Jesus. Go get the lamb, a perfect lamb. It has to be perfect, without defect. We can't get something that represents Jesus that has a defect. Get a perfect lamb, and once you prepare it, I want you to take the blood from the lamb and put it on your doorpost. Not just on one side of your door, not just on the other side of the door, but I even want you to put it at the top of the door. There were specific directions. They were told to slay the lamb and take the blood of the lamb and put it on the post of the door. So therefore, when the angel comes by, the angel of death comes by to kill all the firstborn that God told him to kill, they're going to pass over all the Israelites' doors that follow the orders. Now, can you imagine? Let's be real. People are people. And I know it's not written, but I would probably bet there was somebody, because the direction was so specific and it had to be done that way. Don't you know there was somebody that didn't do it? Now, I can't say that I've read that, but I'm just looking at what God says about his sheep, how hard-headed they are, and how throughout biblical history, the Israelites were hard-headed and forgetful people, and you had those that just wanted to do what they wanted to do because they didn't understand it. Or they thought, we ain't got to do all that. I can just put it on one side of the door. I don't have to put it at the top and that side. That's doing too much. How many times have you heard people say, oh, now you're doing too much? How do you know that's doing too much? How do you know that? How do you know that? So I'm saying all to say, I'm willing to bet that there was somebody within the Israelite camp, amongst all the Israelites, amongst all those thousands of people that were part of the Exodus. I know somebody didn't follow directions. Somebody didn't find a lamb that was without defect. Somebody in their families didn't get a lamb that the size that of the right side that he told them to get, that to make sure that you ate all of the lamb. I know somebody didn't slay it and put it on all three sides of the doorpost. There were specific directions. God is doing something. Do what you're told. Don't try to figure it out. You're trying to figure out a finite, infinite God with your finite minds. You can't do it. You've heard me tell the story before about Samson and Delilah. And even before Samson was born, he gave the angel of the Lord gave some specific directions to Manoah, who was the father of Samson and his wife. And they didn't necessarily believe what the angels were saying. So they were trying to understand who the angel was and why they were doing what they're doing and why all those, doing what we do. And in the process, they began to ask the angel questions. And they asked the angel, well, what is your name? It's just their way of trying to figure things out. And the angel told him, if I told you my name, you wouldn't even understand it. Here, I'm saying on the stage, stop trying to understand things that you're never going to understand. Just do what you're told. Do what you're told. Don't get distracted. Hear me. I'm going to give you another example. I remember when reading in Matthew, Mark, Luke, when Jesus created or performed the first miracle. And that first miracle came at the hands of Mary, Jesus' mother. And she told him that, this wedding that they were at, that they were out of wine. Jesus was there, they were celebrating, and she came to Jesus to solve this problem. And Jesus like, woman, this is not my time. This is not my time. Don't you know that Mary pulled on something? She pulled on something in Jesus, and she said, okay. And she turned around to the servants and said, whatever he tells you to do, do it. And I'm telling you today, whatever he tells you to do, do it. Don't try to make sense of it. Once again, what if the servants that were serving the wedding that day decided, well, what Jesus told me, this carpenter from Nazareth told us to go collect these vessels and fill it with water. Now, they hear me, Jesus. We're out of wine. We're not out of water. We're out of wine. We're not out of water. Hear me. What if they decided, well, that don't make sense. You don't make wine from water. That doesn't make sense. What if they tried to reason what they were told to do? I'm going to say it again, just like Mary told us. Whatever he tells you to do, do it. So I started off this conversation talking about how in all of my advances in life, everyone that I can remember, they came at the heel of what was a stressful situation for me in some form. And I can speak to everybody in this room that's listened to my voice. If you look back at your situations and those times when you thought, man, this is terrible. I don't like this. This sucks. I don't like this. This is uncomfortable. What came after that was progress for you. All progress in a Christian life is by faith. Hear me. Now, you ask me, well, what does this have to do with the Passover? Well, the Passover was an archetype of what was to come. At this time, these people, the Israelites, knew or heard of the Messiah that was coming. Some of them. But the direction that they were told to do at the time for the Passover was accept the blood of the lamb. Accept the blood of the lamb and believe that the blood of the lamb was going to protect you from the enemy. Understand, believe that the blood that I'm telling you to put over the doorpost was going to protect you from the enemy. And it did. Okay? It's the same thing that we were all told, or we all come to know when Jesus, the Lamb of God, died on the cross and the blood was shed. It was shed for us. He had to do it the one time. We don't ever have to do that again. It was done. And it was done because it had to be done for us to have a chance. In Luke 24:44, it says, all things written about me through the law of Moses, through the prophets and the Psalms have to be fulfilled. It had to happen. The directions had to be followed for us to have a chance. What if Jesus said, you know what? Yeah, I don't think we have to do all the God. It don't take all that. They ain't gotta beat me. They ain't, I can hang on the cross, but they ain't gotta nail it through my hands. They can just cut my side and I can just bleed. What if Jesus decided to be hard-headed? What if Jesus had decided not to follow orders? What if that? Whatever he tells you to do, do it. Quite recently, and in my past, you just heard me mention earlier about the things that's happened in my life that's led to my progress. Those strenuous situations that led to my progress. Those times you've heard me talk about, or I was crying from the hurt that I was going through was led to my progress. In my professional career, in my business world right now, I'm going through some things right now. And because of me rehearsing my past victories, I'm excited now. I woke up in the middle of the night last night, excited because I got revelation. It came to me. I'm going through some things right now, but it's exciting to me because I know now, and I remember from my past experiences that, wait a minute, I'm being attacked right now. That means I'm about to get a promotion. I know it. I believe it. I know it to be every time on the heels of what I thought to be a stressful situation in my life, the next step was promotion. The next step after the darkest hour is light. Hear me. Hear me. I woke up excited last night. I woke up in the 4 o'clock in the morning and woke my wife up and gave her my revelations. Like, man, I get it. I see it now. And it was a load lifted off of me. It's like, oh, don't even worry about it. Just keep on doing what you're doing. So I'm telling you right now, don't worry about it. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on doing what you're doing. It's working. Do what he told you to do already. Don't worry about who this man is that you're following with a water bottle. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just go where he told you to go. Look for who he told you to look for and follow him. He's going to lead you to your provisions. Just follow him. It doesn't even matter. Follow him. Just do it. What do you have to lose? Everything. You have everything to lose not to follow him. So my word for you today is to do what you're told to do. God is doing something. Stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to understand it, Manoah. You're not going to understand if I tell you what's going on with Samson. Stop trying to figure it out and do what I'm telling you to do. Just like Mary told him, don't try to figure out what he's telling you to do. Whatever he tells you to do it. Hear me. It's a matter, or could be a matter, of life and death, a blessing and a curse. Just do what you're told. Do what you're told. Hey, I don't know who this is for, but whatever your heart told you to do, stop questioning it. Go do it. He's going to reward you. Hear me. All things work together for the good of those that love him and that are according to his purpose. If you believe in your heart that's what he told you to do it. Whether you understand it or not, don't try to make sense of it. Have a blind faith. Just do it. Follow the breadcrumbs, not trying to figure out what the next step is. You're going to outsmart yourself. That's what's wrong with us smart people. We're too smart for our own goods. Stop being smart. Humble yourself. Do what you're told to do. Just do it. Be like Nike. Just do it. Amen. We'll talk later.